My favorite part is the intricate storytelling.
Are you high?
No, you have to read between the lines, but...
Hello, boys!
Oh, hey, I always forget your name. I'm terrible.
Yes, you are! But never mind how terrible you are. Just the absolute worst. A sad, sad man for sure.
Oh.
Remember that demon?
The one you sold us to?
Yes!
The one that tortured us?
That's the one!
The one that refused to get catering?
You could probably skip a meal or two.
Oh.
But most importantly, the one I captured and just promoted to vice president.
What?
I'm fat.
That's right. Say hello to your new boss. You'll be reporting directly to him because, quite frankly, I don't like any of you. Later, boys.
Hello again, boys. You and I are going to have a hell of a good... What do you think you're doing? No, get away, get back. Look, listen to me. We can talk this out. No.
Hello and welcome to the Retro Odyssey. I'm Brian and I'm joined by my hosts, Matt and Steven. How are y'all doing today?
Yeah, not bad.
I'm doing all right.
Oh, come on, where's that energy? No, it's early.
I'm doing great.
That's the spirit.
More than good.
No, I'm a little bit low energy at the minute. I woke up from a nap like 40 odd minutes ago. And I'm still lagging a bit, but I'm good.
I'm sure I'll wake up about halfway through this. I just downed a lot of caffeine, so we'll get there. Have y'all had any interesting happenings this last month since we last recorded? Anything fun going on, or at least not bad with all the Rona going around?
I don't know. I mean...
Like, I know Matt's just been playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes.
Well, actually, I have been doing that, but I've been playing Final Fantasy 13 quite a lot as well.
Yes.
I am like 7 hours into that, although half of that is reading the data log entries. It's the divisive one, pretty much.
It is.
It's very, very linear, but it is very, very pretty.
I absolutely love Final Fantasy 13. It is, one of my favorite games in the series, and it's, like everyone hates it so much, and I love that we're now seeing elements of it creep into things like Final Fantasy VII Remake, and people didn't notice.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Final Fantasy XIII also have like a 20-hour-long noob island?
Okay, so the Final Fantasy 13, basically you've got two worlds. You've got the planet, and then there's like a satellite Death Star type of thing floating above it. And you spend the first 20 hours or so on the game on the satellite before you get down to the planet itself. And it's mostly very linear up to that point, and then it opens up. And that can bug people, but it didn't bug people when it did the same damn thing? Final Fantasy X.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I am enjoying it so far. I mean, I plan on playing all of the Final Fantasy games. That's the kind of kick that I'm on at the minute. I was going to start with the first two because I ordered the Final Fantasy Origins collection for PlayStation 1, which includes 1 and 2. But I want to play through them like with the guide there as well. Not so much as kind of like a step-by-step guide, just kind of like hints and little help along the way. And that only arrived like yesterday. And I wanted to get started on some of the games, and I had Final Fantasy 13 sitting there, which I already have the guide for. So I just decided to jump into that. And yeah, I am enjoying it. The people say the story is confusing, and it is if you don't read the datalog entries, but there are a lot of datalog entries.
To be fair, that is just sort of Final Fantasy as a whole. If you're not paying close attention, the stories can get kind of confusing.
Right?
And we already spent a while shitting on Final Fantasy VII several months back, but Final Fantasy VII is no exception.
But the thing is that I think maybe my one criticism is that kind of like too much of the story is told in the datalog entries and not enough is actually told to you in-game. It does all make sense, but they could have communicated it better actually through gameplay.
Right.
That's what Destiny did, so now I know where they learned it from. You could, Destiny had an interesting story, except you had to go onto their website and read the Grimoire cards.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't actually tell you a whole lot in-game.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But I am looking forward to getting to like the world below because they're constantly talking about it, like in the first part of the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what it actually looks like and how it plays.
Turns out it's just the same. They just repainted everything. No.
My other criticism of it is Lightning's kind of a moody edgelord emo character.
Yes.
At least at this point in the game. Luckily, you get to play as other characters as well who are a little bit more upbeat and have a bit more personality to them. But like the main character is so far kind of a bit one note.
Well, I mean, I've heard the description before. I haven't played Final Fantasy 13, really. I've touched on Final Fantasy 13, too. And I watched my friend play a lot of 13.3. From my understanding, Lightning is literally just Girl Cloud. Like, through and through. There's, as far as, like, how the character is portrayed.
To an extent.
That's probably why they named her after weather. Like they did with Cloud.
That's a pretty good joke. I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna steal that. But yeah, so it Lightning does get better as you go. The person who doesn't get better is Snow. I hate Snow.
He does have that kind of like douche bro personality to him.
It is. I hate him so much. And he does not get better. Like, I don't know why they keep him bad, but
he wasn't important.
Yeah. So, the other thing that gets annoying is Hope can be very annoying. In the first game, I actually like him much better in the sequel. But I mean, that's neither here nor there.
That has been like most of my play this time. Well, aside from like the games that we're covering for the podcast, but I'm assuming you guys have played some interesting stuff as well.
I have. So I started Xenoblade Chronicles X, probably close to when we recorded last time, and that's always a hoot. And then my sister's been with us for a week, so we've been burning through Supermassive's library. So we played a lot of Hidden Agenda, and we've been working on Man of Medan most recently. And Supermassive is still really good. I mean, Man of Medan had some technical issues that the others didn't have, but I chalked that up to a reduced development time.
The one thing in Man of Medan that I kind of like felt didn't work, when you kind of like having to control your heartbeat and stuff like that. I don't know whether it's down to input lag or what, but I could never get that rhythm right.
So it is difficult to get. The specific problem I've been having is the game lagging and forcing me to miss. And I've looked online. This is not specific to one console or the other. It is across the board, all three systems. So that's kind of a bummer. Hopefully they have that worked out for the next one. But me and my wife love Supermassive stuff, because we like we like horror, we like mystery, so it's all a good time for us.
So have you been playing it in multiplayer?
Yes. So we've been doing the movie night mode where we pass the controller around and we're all in the same room. I haven't done the online shared story yet.
I've heard that the online version is kind of like the way that the developers intended it. Mm-hmm. But I just played it solo and I had a good time with it.
Yeah. See, the thing that still doesn't make any sense to me is how nobody talks about Hidden Agenda, which is one of the games they made between Until Dawn and Man of Medan, when honestly I think Hidden Agenda is just as good as Until Dawn and probably better than Man of Medan.
I have never heard of it.
So Hidden Agenda was it was PS4 exclusive, just like Until Dawn, but it was they were doing this play link feature where all the games had a dedicated app for that game, and you control everything from your phone, but you can have like 6 people in the same room playing the game.
What, each controlling it through the phone?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and you make decisions. You decide whether or not to shoot a gun. Are we going to scope out the place or barge right in? It's a very good system. It's a very good game, and nobody talks about it.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, if you've got a PS4 and a phone, I highly recommend it.
Well, I've got the phone part.
Well, you're halfway there.
Halfway there, it's true.
Well, I've got the PS4, so if we were going to kind of we mentioned a few months ago that we should get married. So if we can sort that out, then
really, if there is a reason to do that now, it's now. This is the reason.
I just want to go back as well. I mentioned that I've been mostly playing Final Fantasy 13. I completely forgot that I've also played Resident Evil 3. That was right at the start of the month. That's why.
Right. The remaster, correct?
Yeah. That is. I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed that more than the remake of Resident Evil 2. It's a lot shorter. It only took 6 hours. But I have no problem with short games. And yeah, it was a different kind of atmosphere. It focused more on the action than the puzzle solving. But yeah, I had a really good time with it. And it has a lot of replayability as well, because you open up an item shop at the end and you earn points by doing achievements in game. So you can buy items that will help you, infinite ammo for weapons and items that if you carry with you will increase your defense or strength and stuff like that. So yeah, it is something I'm going to go back and replay and try and get a few more points and try and save up for the infinite ammo rocket launcher, which is the most expensive item on there, and just blast shit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's always a good time. When I was playing Doom Eternal, because I played that basically, that's the only other game I really played since it's released. You unlock cheat codes in the game. You actually find them. They're hidden secrets, the little floppy disks you find.
Nice.
And one of them is, so when you go back, because you can go back and play levels from your hub world, and you can go and activate cheat codes when you do that. And there's a lot of them, like unlimited lives, infinite ammo, quad damage, berserk mode, like always on. I went through, I was going back and picking up some of the last secrets on my first playthrough through. I was just like, you know what? Just infinite ammo and sentinel armor and rocket launcher. Let's go. Yeah, when you're just going ape shit with a rocket launcher, you still kill yourself a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a good time. I miss, and I like it because I really do miss the thing that was prevalent in games once upon a time was cheat codes.
Mm-hmm. Unlockable cheat codes at that.
Yeah, unlockable cheat codes especially. Like, yeah, a lot of had like, oh yeah, punch in, Grand Theft Auto, most famous, mash your L and R button 700 times.
Mm-hmm.
But just like, oh yeah, you unlocked a cheat code. Do you want to go into the menu and activate it and just have some fun? Absolutely. Then I don't know what happened to the cheat codes. There's some games still have them, but they're not nearly as present as they used to be.
They started selling them to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sad way to phrase that.
Or they removed them entirely because they wanted an online game, and you can't have cheating in online games. Despite the fact that Big Head mode isn't going to affect anyone else's game.
Right. Well, it's actually funny because I want to say in Saints Row, you can actually, because you can bring people into your game, you can actually have cheat codes on, and all it does is disable achievements, but you can have, like, infinite health, infinite ammo, all guns, like fly, like all sorts of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite money. But all it does is goes like, if you activate cheat codes, you can't get achievements anymore for this file.
Yeah.
But you can totally bring other people into your world with cheat codes.
So I'm trying to think. I saw that on another game.
Binding of Isaac does that. If you... if you use like mods and stuff like that, then...
Or if you input a seed...
Yeah, then you can't get achievements.
Right.
But it's just an achievement, like...
Right, and that's the thing, is like... And I mean, Binding of Isaac doesn't... I play it on Switch, so I don't have achievements anyway.
Right.
So...
Well, I mean, with Binding of Isaac, it's more about unlockables.
Right. The unlocking the items, unlocking the characters and the notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, if I want to go back to the one that I just got my ass handed to me and be like, I think I could break through on that, pop that in and be like, all right, let me see if I can do this.
Right.
Just to prove to myself that I could have.
Exactly.
There's no reason why single-player games can't have cheat codes.
Yes. And honestly, I'd be fine if Couch Co-op had cheat codes and stuff, because that's a pretty good setting for wacky stuff like that.
Yeah, it enhances the fun, and Galoob won a lawsuit over that, so we know it's true. The Game Genie was proof that cheat codes enhance games.
Mm-hmm.
So, all I played this last month was Doom Eternal. I did go on a kick with Hot Wheels Turbo Racing for the N64. That'd be a fun game to cover or plug in. It's a lot of fun. And I don't have any memory packs, so when I played it, I had to unlock everything again.
Mm.
And then if I wanted to keep playing it with all my stuff unlocked, my N64 was on for about 4 days straight for when I wanted to play it, because my memory packs are shot.
Mm.
But it didn't lock up, so I know my N64 is doing fine. And
Well,
other than that,
better than mine.
this one actually isn't my N64. It's my friend's. I've been borrowing it for quite a while, because my first N64 has a power supply issue where it likes to reset. My other N64 now has a issue reading games, like it has a connection issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll occasionally just, black screen, and I have to restart the console.
Yeah,
But
mine has the power issue.
Yeah.
Where it will just reset itself, but
Yep.
It's like random how often it does it. I mean,
It
I
is,
played
yes.
like Star Fox 64, like a few months ago for the podcast, and I got several hours in, and it just stopped. So, like, I didn't bother going back to it. But
Yeah.
it can be a minute, it can be 3 hours.
Yeah, I got about. I remember I was playing Mario 64 and I was just going through and I wasn't saving because it was faster to not save. And I was about an hour in and it reset and I'm like, well, I can't do this. So yeah, it sucks. I know a guy who can fix them, I hope. And we'll see about that. Maybe he can take my two N64s and piece them together into something that works.
If mine can hold out until the Hyperkin one comes out, then
Yeah, has
I'll
there
just
been
get
any news on that?
no.
It's the Hyperkin Ultra 64?
Yeah, I don't think they've released any new info since E3 last year. So I'm assuming it's still in the works.
Because it looked neat. It was nice and compact.
Yeah.
They should just hurry up on that because I would give them copious amounts of money for a console that was good. You know, something with fresh electronics that was reliable versus 20-year-old, 25-year-old hardware. This will let us segue into news. I just mentioned Saints Row. Saints Row 3 is apparently releasing a HD version.
Yes, it is in May.
Next month. I just saw that and I was just like, okay. I don't know how I missed the first announcement, but you know what? That's basically borderline retro. Is 9 years ago. It was about halfway through I guess that was near the end of the 360's life.
Yeah.
Still, I'm going to be dumping a lot of money and hopefully not money. $60 maybe, probably 40. But a lot of time with my friend in that game because we put a lot of time into it before and now we're getting a super clean version.
It's the only Saints Row game that I've actually played. I only did like 40 odd minutes or so.
Oh, I think I've played Saints Row 3, 4, and Gat Out of Hell, and I gotta say that 3 is probably my favorite. It's so good. It's so goofy and so good.
I did really, really enjoy the sequence near the start where you are just dropping out of the plane and avoiding all the shit as you're flying down.
Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. But yeah, with releases, I guess we can flow into news. Might be fair to start with the also not retro game news that is kind of retro. Super Mario Maker just got a massive update.
Yeah, you can now chain maps together with a world map, kind of like they had in like Super Mario World, Super Mario 3.
So we can finally make proper campaigns?
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I do not know why they didn't do that right out the gate. I thought they should have done that in the first Mario Maker.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Like we desperately wanted it.
Yeah, and it's an easy thing to do. Just go, you chain them together, and then it goes, boop, you have map. But what do I know? I just play games. I don't make them.
I just work here.
Exactly. But yeah, you can make your own custom worlds to chain all your maps together. You can also... they added Super Mario Bros. 2 stuff.
Yeah, so I think with that you can... It's like an item where you can change into like the Super Mario 2 version, kind of like you can get the item to change yourself into Link. And when you're in that skin, you can like pick up enemies and throw them.
And I need to pick this up because Super Mario Bros. 2 is among my favorites.
I'm not a big fan of 2D Mario because I suck at 2D platformers.
Fair enough.
But, I do need to get my hands on the Mario Maker games because, it is a good time. It's just you got to do that with people because that's the most enjoyable, especially if you're like me and you suck.
Yeah, I remember when I still have it. When I was playing Mario Maker way on back, me and my brother just sat there and he was basically we were building a level. He was trying to do some crazy not an auto runner, but basically a don't stop runner.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to testing it out and trying to get the timing down. And it was more fun that way than just sitting there all by yourself.
The best Mario Maker level I've ever seen, and I actually have video evidence of this, was somebody who made WarioWare in Mario Maker. They made little mini games that you play, and you had to figure out the puzzle, and it was brilliant. Like, I'll send you guys the video later, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, please do. That sounds insane.
If you do want to see some Super Mario Maker 2 gameplay as well, I mean, quick shout out to Adam's Twitch channel, the Elite MYT. He's been playing a lot of Super Mario Maker 2 on his channel.
A lot.
Oh yeah, it's basically been his moneymaker, if you will. Yeah. That's one of his biggest attractions, and he goes through a lot of levels, and it's a good time. But we're in different time zones, and I'm usually at work, but I pop in when I can, and it's always a good time. What else we got going on here?
We were speaking just a little while ago about the Hyperkin Ultra 64, emulation console.
Yep.
One emulation console which is a little bit close to release is the Polymega, which is a modular emulator console where you can buy cores to emulate different systems. And preview builds of the base system have started going out to people. It includes the CD unit, which can play stuff like Saturn, Sega CD. I think it can play Atari CD as well. I think, but it can do a bunch of different systems, and previews have been looking decent actually. They said the emulation isn't 100%, but this is the first console that will basically let you emulate Saturn, and the emulation is decent enough that it might actually be worth buying.
Well, and on top of that, it allows you to take your games and rip them digitally to the console.
Yes.
Which is a huge deal if you can get your game, especially if, say, your game isn't as reliable as it used to be, because it's dirty or aged. You can get it in there, get a connection, rip it, and then you can just have your physical collection, but you can still play your digital games, and it's 100% legal. There's no shadiness with ROMs, which we would never, ever endorse, even for games that are impossible to get. It's really a brilliant system, especially for some of these CD games, because all these different forms of entertainment, all these different mediums are going to start deteriorating.
Yeah, or already have.
I
mean, how many Pokemon games have you changed the battery in already?
One.
Really?
But all the other ones I have could also probably use a battery change.
Yeah.
The Retron 5 does a very similar kind of thing. It pulls the information from the cart, but it doesn't save it. And this does allow you to save it, which is good. I mean, say, if you've got an especially rare, expensive game that you don't want to put through the ringer, you can just rip this to your console and then you can just keep that on your shelf.
Oh, you mean my $150 cartridge of Chrono Trigger?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and what's also neat, and I don't know how big the store is going to be, is the Polymega also has its own little storefront on it.
Yeah, I'm assuming it wasn't live when the previews came out, because none of the previews are, I only watched 2, but the previews didn't mention the store, so I'm guessing that's not live yet. But I can imagine that being a little side thing for most people that most people won't even look at.
Yeah, because most of it is people like us that still have all the stuff and just want to have a reliable way to play it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And when you look at, and some of these games, obviously you're probably not going to, Nintendo's probably not going to have a storefront on it.
Oh, absolutely not.
And yeah, and it's and that's a shame. But it's not like Nintendo games won't have a storefront on it. It's just Nintendo-owned IPs won't be on there.
Right. And it's one of those where, you have to buy things as Nintendo intended from scalpers.
Yeah, exactly. But, let's say Sega seems a little bit more open about this sort of thing since they don't make their own hardware now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to Saturn games, Sega might be totally willing to get as many Saturn games as possible on the Polymega, which means some of these really, really expensive Saturn titles, which for me here in the US is most of them.
Looking at you, Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah. You have like what is Panzer Dragoon Saga run right now? It's several $100s.
Oh yeah, it's like $600.
Yeah, and that might be loose. That might not even be cased up. If you can pick that up for, they say that CD games will be $5.99 USD. If you could pick up you won't have a physical copy, but you will have legal access to a copy for $6.
Panzer Dragoon Saga on Amazon, 3 used and new from $1,284.99.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit inflated.
Well, Amazon's really bad about. Amazon's not the best place to buy used games, to be fair.
It's not, but my local used game shop is closed right now, so I can't exactly call them up.
Yeah, but I know last time I saw Panzer Dragoon Saga on eBay, it was like $600.
Yeah,
and
Panzer Dragoon $60.
For me, I saw Panzer Dragoon Saga in one of my local shops for $300, and that's the only time I've actually ever seen it in the wild. That's £300, so you're probably looking at about $450, $500 or so.
Let's see, 600, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and the 600 is loose. Actually, no, there is a case. Okay, so that's not horrible.
I mean, it is, but
it is, but not as horrible as 600 for a loose game.
And what's that? 4 discs?
Yes, 4 discs. Let's see. Then there's the $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. Yeah, we ain't getting a hold of this game.
Point is, if you invest in the Polymega and these different developers do jump in and start flooding the storefront with high quality games that are hard to find, it will almost definitely be a success.
What would be awesome is if this was the perfect complement to the Switch and Wii U eShop, where you use the Switch and Wii U eShop to get all your Nintendo stuff, in a digital format that'll last, and then everything else you can use the Polymega for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
So have they actually confirmed that they were putting retro games on there then? Because I just assumed that the store would be for new stuff that they've just developed for the Polymega.
No, well, on their website they say, quote, "Don't have any retro games? Polymega is working with indie and major publishers to bring your favorite games to you digitally. You can shop without leaving the couch, and classic games will be priced starting at $3.99, with CD games starting at $5.99.
Nice.
So yeah, they're definitely on bringing a retro storefront to it. They're working on that.
Let me just have a look at the price of this at the moment. I know it's not out yet, but let me have a look. UK, that goes to an Amazon page that's just a 404, so that's good. USA, the base unit with a wireless controller is $400.
It's not cheap.
Not cheap, but I mean, you think of what it's supplementing and what it could theoretically replace, and yeah, you're getting pretty close there.
Now here's what I want to know, and I would assume with the base units, I'm assuming like you still have access to the storefront and everything, or like if you wanted to play Saturn games, would you have to attach your Saturn?
That's my question.
The Saturn is in the base unit. All of the CD consoles are in the base unit.
Okay.
And then you get add-ons
the
for the cartridges.
Are the add-ons. I forgot about that.
And you're looking at about $80 per module. So it's an expensive way to do it, but like I said, the base unit does play your CD consoles.
Well, I mean, to get a reliable Saturn, you're looking at you're looking at $100 regardless, and to have multiple CE games in there, that kind of adds up. And $80 is about what you're going to pay for a guaranteed reliable NES or SNES. So
Yeah, like I bought an NES. I bought that NES last year, I think, and it ran me. I think I paid 130 for it, and it was in box, 2 controllers.
yeah,
I even have the official NES strategy guide for like 80 games or whatever it was that came with it, because this was the later Power Deck.
right.
But still, like, yeah, like it's in really insanely good condition, and it works super duper well.
Yeah, and you paid well for that.
Yeah, I paid well for that. I definitely paid well over $80 for that.
Yeah. So it's if I mean, and we talked about this when they first announced it, and we expressed concerns. So if it's if it can function the way they advertised it, and we can actually do what we hope, then yeah, we could be in business here.
Yeah, like I might actually pick one of these up because it also upscales to HDMI, like
Which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice. So you don't need like a crazy upscaler for this. And if the emulation is good, like super super good, because you're always going to have problems with emulation. It's just the way the world
Right.
works. But if the emulation is super super good, I will honestly probably invest in a Polymega for a lot of my capturing needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the videos that I watched did show glitches here and there, but mostly it was pretty solid. Like, I think Tekken for Sega Saturn had kind of like a flickering problem on the floor, but apparently in general emulation, that game has always had issues. But yeah, it is. I would get one of these. I mean, the system has had its controversies because it was originally announced that it was going to be an FPGA system, which is kind of like a system on chip, and that kind of like fell by the wayside, and now it's just like an emulation system. But it does seem to be pretty solid, and when it hits retail, depending on the price, I'd probably go up to about £250.
Right. And although judging from how a lot of these places tend to price their items for the US and UK, I don't know why, but it's like, oh yeah, it's $300 in the US and $300 in the UK. It's like that's not a 1-to-1 exchange, right?
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't go that high. I mean, I have a Saturn, I have a Sega CD.
Right.
So it would just be for the convenience of HD. But like I said, about $250, that would be my like sweet spot.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to more news on this. News I'm not looking forward to, speaking of classic, is Atari is opening an online casino. And I have no idea how that's going to work.
I'm not sure. I mean, I went to the website and I still don't really get it. It's like a cryptocurrency thing, somehow involving their games. I'm not entirely sure how it works.
I find it funny that they're announcing this, and it's been nothing. I mean, the excuses have been, completely reasonable with the whole pandemic, but still just delays and delays on the Atari VCS.
I've not heard anything new since last month.
Yeah, they were just basically all we've heard is like, oh, we got delays because virus. Everybody stay safe, but the factories are basically stopping.
Although, having said that, the delay to the TurboGrafx Mini, it is actually now out in Japan.
Oh, nice.
And the American version is out in Japan as well. You can actually go onto Amazon, Japan, create an account, and you can get the US version of the console sent to you. But it isn't available in America or Europe, which is odd.
What? Okay, then. Why not?
I'm not sure how many people have actually gone through the trouble of actually doing that. Happy Console Gamer on YouTube did that, and he's put up a review of the system on his channel. So it is possible. I mean, he's in Canada, so he was able to like create a Japanese account and get it sent to him, and it is the US version of the console.
That's
so
really
God
funny.
knows when it's actually going to like make it over here and over to where you guys are. But yeah, it is available in Japan.
That's really funny. Yeah, well, they're doing better than Atari. They're doing a lot better.
It's not hard.
It's really not. Atari has been just a train wreck ever since, like, I don't know, probably the fucking late 80s, early 90s.
I mean, they've been an animated corpse since like 2005, haven't they?
Yeah, basically. Well, it might have been sooner than that because, like, the famous Atari versus Nintendo, when Atari did blatantly illegal shit and Nintendo practically killed the company.
Well, no, I'm talking like specifically like when the Atari name and all their IPs were bought up, and then they started, quote unquote, reviving old franchises with horrible incarnations.
Yeah, like every once in a while they'll stick a new skin on Alone in the Dark, and it's never worth playing.
Oh, because they are neither alone nor in the dark.
Yeah, it's bad. Atari has a sad story, and yeah, I don't know, man. It's not a good time. Speaking of sad stories, Bethesda and Mick Gordon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Basically, fuck Bethesda again.
I mean, yeah.
So what this is, Mick Gordon did the music for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. And it turns out that whoever did the music mastering, audio mastering for Doom Eternal really, really fucked up his mixers for the music. They basically compressed it to shit so that it just kills any dynamic range. I mean, you can look at the like the wave patterns from some of the tracks that appear in both games, and you can just see the difference. It's kind of like just one big block of audio.
Yeah, it's just a solid bar from Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan, you were saying earlier before we started recording that it's probably not something that you would notice in game, but the soundtrack came out and people have been kind of like tweeting Mick Gordon saying, what is going on with this? This is like super heavily compressed. And Mick Gordon's basically saying,
wasn't me, mate.
Yeah, that was done without my permission. I can't imagine that I will be working for Bethesda again.
Well, yeah, and it sucks because there are a couple tracks on the soundtrack that he did mix. Like, he was responsible for the final mix, and it turns out that they're fine. Like, they sound great. But he only did like 3 of them. All the other final mixes were done by somebody else, and they just butchered it.
Yeah, it's a real shame because he, to me, is kind of like one of the key components to making these games what they are.
Well, yeah.
Playing Doom with the music off is a completely different experience. Well, I would assume so. I've never been stupid enough to do it. But,
I'll take one for the team.
But his soundtrack was just kind of like the perfect accompaniment to the game. I mean, he is kind of like responsible for the theme of the music as well, because when he was hired by Bethesda said to him, we have one stipulation. We don't want any metal. And he convinced Bethesda. He kind of like made some demo tracks and said, Bethesda, look, this is what I've done. This is metal as fuck. This works. Just go with it. And they kind of like gave the thumbs up to him for that.
Yeah, they said no metal, and he brought them metal, and they went, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Because it turns out, when you're right, you're right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing is it's not like so. I have to agree with my brother on this. The soundtrack to the original Doom is a little funky. It's not bad, but it's a little out of place because really all they did for most of it was just semi-clone an iconic riff from popular songs at the time and then compose a short loop around that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got something that sounded kind of familiar, and I mean, it was metal and heavy rock at the time, so that obviously had its hardcore vibes to it, and it fit with the mood, but it was just a touch odd, but it worked. But it accented the game versus with Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal playing that with that like industrial, slightly electronic metal blasting. It's not accenting the game. The game is accenting the music. It's like a heavy metal album come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And that made the whole thing an experience versus like I'm playing a game with music. No, you're playing the genre of heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, with the originals, I mean, I'm kind of like of a different opinion. I think it is perfect fit for the game. I mean, I don't want to take away from Bobby Prince's soundtrack work on those two original games. I just think it is phenomenal, like both soundtracks all the way through, Doom 1 and 2. And it for me, it perfectly fits. But I did grow up with those games, so you know that's probably part of it.
So, and like I said, my opinion on that is pretty subjective. I'm not going to claim that I am the final word on that sort of thing. You would honestly be closer to the final word, like you said. You grew up playing them. You are the resident Doom pro.
Yeah.
Well, for the first two,
well, least. You know,
because I mean, despite the fact that like Doom is like my second favorite game of all time, I'm not a shooter fan. You know, that is there by fluke. It just so happened that those two games were kind of like pretty much perfect and really embodied that kind of like shooter feel that kind of like hooked me, whereas other shooters really didn't. It just had this hook that just got into me. So generally speaking, I'm not into the genre, but that is just the perfect embodiment of the genre for me.
I wonder if it's because you're also super into horror and there is kind of that horror, dark, spooky vibe.
I don't know, because it's not a scary game.
It's not a scary game.
I am into metal as well, so, you know, I like...
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything came together to make something great. It's just how it works. Well, not a whole lot of not Doom news. Well, I mean, that was a bit of Doom news. There wasn't a lot of Doom news, but there wasn't a lot of news in general. I would do a anniversaries, but because our last episode was a little late or rolled over into April, I did April and May, or I did March and April.
Yeah.
So
we can hit May next month.
So yeah, I'm not gonna get a month ahead on this.
We do have one more bit of news, actually.
Oh, do we?
And a couple game releases as well, but this isn't really video game news. But if you remember me talking a while back about the Resident Evil 2 board game from Steamforged Games, it's kind of like a tabletop version of the game that I kickstarted a while back, and that got delivered last year. It is I've still not played it, but it is really, really nice. It's kind of like got board pieces and you've got a load of miniatures and stuff like that, and it's been really, really popular. They've just announced, well, they announced it a few weeks ago, a Resident Evil 3 board game that's going to be coming out. The Kickstarter for which is going to be starting on the 28th of April. So by the time you listen to this, it should be out. So if you head on over to Kickstarter, either type in Steamforged Games or Resident Evil 3, and this should pop up. And I've seen kind of like preview builds of the miniatures and stuff like that, like CGI renders of them, and they're looking really, really nice.
Neat.
So that's definitely something I'm going to put some money in on Kickstarter.
Video games are coming full circle. Now you can play video games at the table at a family game night.
And like I said, there were a couple game releases as well. Literally just a couple. Well, 3 actually. The limited run release of Jedi Knight Academy, is it?
It's Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy.
Oh, it is both of them. That's right.
So it's a double pack which just came out a few days ago.
Yeah, and there's various versions you can get. You can either get the double pack, you can get them individually, you can get like a mega pack that's got, what was it, all of it, like all the different console versions. Like there's a lot of ridiculous options on there. I just went for the regular double pack on Switch because that cover looks dope as hell.
It does. It looks really good. And they're good games. Well, we covered one of them in the podcast.
We did.
Yeah, we did Jedi Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spoken before about my feelings about limited run games, so I won't get into that again. But that is available if you want to pick that up. Another one that's coming out in April is the next Sega Ages game for the Switch, and it is G-Lock. That is coming out on April 30th. I am not a fan, personally. It is kind of similar to Afterburner, and I'm not really a fan of Afterburner either. But that is coming out to Switch if you want that. And the Sega Ages games are always decent ports as well.
Yeah, it's just a shame I've never heard of this one.
This looks like a lot of G-Lock is similar-ish to, I would say, the Nintendo equivalent might be Stealth. Or possibly Top Gun, except Top Gun is brutal and hates you. Always. Top Gun's not a good game.
No. So yeah, that's coming out. And I've only been able to find like one retro release from May. And that is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which is coming to PS4 and Switch on May the 12th.
Yes!
Yeah, and from what I hear, it's mostly just a HD port. It's not like they didn't really do anything new. They just made sure the controls worked and mostly just ported it. It's a great game. And it had a sequel that I didn't know about.
Yeah, Racer Revenge.
Yeah.
I've never actually played it, but if it's like under £10 on PS4, I might pick that up.
Yeah, make no mistake, we will play Racer Revenge at some point for this podcast.
I wouldn't mind that because I own Episode 1 Racer, and it's great. It's a little rough. Mm-hmm. I hadn't played it for, probably 12 years or longer. And but it's good. It's a solid game.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only assume that a sequel would run a bit better. And was the sequel PS2?
Yes.
So hopefully it'll run a lot better.
Was the original N64?
N64 and PlayStation. Yes, sir.
So yeah, I might definitely pick that up. Well, I say I might definitely. That doesn't really make sense, but yeah, depending on the price, I'll take a look, make a decision.
I would recommend it if you like racers. If you don't like racing games, then, well, this is definitely a racing game.
Yeah.
And it pulls no punches.
Literally.
Yeah.
I like combat races. I mean, I love like car races and stuff like that.
Yeah, like this one, there's no power-ups. You just slam into them.
Yeah. It's win or die. Dying happens a lot, because I remember a lot of those stages having really tight corners and corridors. Like, I remember one specifically where, like, there's a big-ass ramp you have to take, but the track gets really narrow on your way up the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes all single file. And you can, if you're not careful, you'll hit the wall and you'll bounce, and you can basically die right there.
Yeah.
and it's really easy to do. You have to go back and start playing episode 1 Racer and try and find that one again, because I just remember getting really frustrated at that as a kid, because I wasn't as good at video games as I am now.
I am the complete opposite. I'm worse at video games now that I'm older.
I'm sure there's something we can blame.
Yeah, age.
You didn't have to get mean about it. Jeez. Oh, all right. Well, if that covers the news then, how do we all feel about flowing right into the start of the show?
Yep, we can do it.
Let's do it. We'll come right back after a quick interlude and kick off the show.
We're doomed!
Doomed! Doomed!
All right, we just spent a few minutes talking about Doom. How would you like to talk about more Doom? Because that is the topic of this month. And we're going to kick it off with Doom 3. And Doom 3 was released on Windows and pretty quickly got ported over to Xbox, I want to say Mac OS as well. And I think Linux, but I could be wrong. It was actually, I actually think it still is the best-selling Doom game to date. Somehow. But, unlike its predecessors, it was not a fast-paced run-and-gun.
No.
It introduced a lot of neat stuff. Like, as far as its engine that it used, with, like, lighting and crazy stuff like that. But it was a completely different game than every other Doom game, except maybe the RPG on mobile phones back like 15 years ago. Mm. What did you guys think? Because I have very stiff opinions of the game.
Well, I'll let Stephen go first because I'm going to rant.
So, my opinion basically boils down to this game is misnamed. Like, this game shouldn't be called Doom 3. It should have something with the word shock at the end. Because, like, this was basically a System Shock or a BioShock game, but with the Doom name on it.
Oh, BioShock is way better than this.
Well, yes, but like, it's that same kind of feel where, you know, you're running around dark corridors, occasionally shooting at monsters, and you've got all these audio logs, and the story is, buried. Well, okay, the story's in your face, and then they bury some of it. Like, it gave me more shock feels than Doom feels.
Yeah, actually, comparing it to System Shock is pretty solid. Because System Shock is not super fast, and it is very tense because System Shock is notoriously stingy with ammo and health.
Right.
System Shock is a pain in the ass.
It's not an easy game. It's a very rough game. So is
Doom 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, my first experience with Doom was Doom 2016. So, to me, Doom 3 just, like, it doesn't feel like the other Doom games. It definitely sticks out. I mean, make no mistake, like, it comes off like a tech demo because of, like you said, all the lighting and, some of the engine stuff, but it just doesn't feel as good. And, it's like, we're going to put a story in Doom, and, not realizing that the people who played Doom often don't care about story.
Well, okay, yeah. I want to tack on to that really quick. So now Doom 3, like I said, if it is not still, it is one of the best-selling Doom games to date. And people whined in Doom Eternal that there was story and it didn't seem fitting and we don't know what's going on and we also don't care about the story. but you can very quickly skip almost every single cutscene in Doom Eternal.
Right.
In Doom Cubed, you can't. A lot of it is just in-game chitter-chatter.
Well, and like, in Doom 2016, it was, oh yeah, there's all this story going on, but your character doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, your character doesn't give a shit, and you don't give a shit. Like, they establish right away he doesn't care about narrative when he throws the computer screen trying to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's only one scene in there where you don't have to, where you can't skip it, and you're just kind of following Hayden around for a minute, and he's explaining a couple things to you. And it's 2, maybe 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then it's just back to ripping and tearing.
Yeah, I mean, so I did a little experiment because I bought Doom 2, Doom 64, and Doom 3 all on Switch. And I booted up Doom 2, and Doom 3 and showed them to my sister. I was like, look at these games. And it's, in Doom and Doom 2, you are immediately, in there shooting demons, within 5 seconds. It's 10, 15 minutes before you even see a gun in Doom 3.
Yeah, you're just, oh my god. When you get in there and they're like, okay, welcome to Mars. Do the stuff. And you finally talk to people and wander around and find the guy you're supposed to talk to and punch turkeys for 2 minutes because you want that achievement. And yeah, that's the first thing I did was I went and got my killing time achievement. And then you go back and you talk to the dude. He's all right. Get your stuff. Get your pistol. Get your soldier gear. And then you follow that little robot for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He moves so slow.
Yep.
And it's not like you couldn't find your way there. They could have just given you a waypoint.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you have to walk behind this tiny little robot
who does not move as fast as you.
Who somehow doesn't move as fast as you. And you are already insanely slow. And it immediately kills the mood. And like I said, I had just spent a month playing Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
Which is, if you stop running, you die. Yeah, it took so long. It took so long just to shoot something. And that's what Doom is about, is shoot something.
Yeah,
I'm glad you specifically picked that out.
Yeah, well, because I noticed that, and I kind of, I did this in a weird way. I was playing this on my Switch while I was at the mechanic shop getting my car worked on. So I didn't have headphones with me, so I just played it without sound. So I'm just sitting there watching people, flap their gums and walking around for 15 minutes. I'm like, dang, this, it'd sure be nice if I knew what was going on, but also not really, because why is all of this happening? Why don't I have a gun yet?
Well, yeah, and the whole thing is the story is still inconsequential.
Yeah.
That's the best part, is the story of Doom 3 doesn't matter.
Well, and so I did some looking. By the way, I found 3.5 million copies of Doom 3 had been sold by 2007, making it the most successful project by id Software to date, according to this. So I think you were correct on that. Although I can't imagine that that Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal didn't sell better than Doom 3.
Maybe it was just maybe it just had the most sales initially, being one of the biggest successes, but not being the most copies sold.
Right, biggest opening weekend. But
right.
What I'm seeing here is, it's a reboot ignoring the events of the previous Doom games. And then in Doom RPG, I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a mobile game. Oh, geez. Okay, so according to Doom RPG, it's a prequel to the first game. Sounds like they made a mess and tried to fix it later.
So, I know with the continuity that last I heard, Doom 3 is canon, but it sits in a parallel timeline.
Oh boy.
And because there's all of these different like reality gates that happen within Doom, like Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal are one continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Doom 3, and then I guess maybe the Doom RPG sets alongside that on a slightly different timeline.
Mm.
But it's still like the world is connected because of all of these interdimensional gates, which then also allows them to potentially tie in the Quake series if they really, really want to, because that's what Quake's all about.
Mm.
That is just the lazy way of tying continuity together. It was an alternate timeline.
I mean, yeah, but it works, and it allows them to, for some reason, keep Doom 3 legitimate, versus just saying this was a different project. Maybe they just don't want to admit they were wrong when they made Doom 3. I don't know.
And it's sad as well that it's kind of like the best-selling id game, because even in that exact same generation, Return to Castle Wolfenstein came out, and that is a way better game. I love Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
We're going to have to play it one of these days.
And that came out around the same time.
Times.
But yeah, my thoughts about Doom 3, basically, I actually picked it up on launch because obviously I grew up on the first couple of games and I was really, really excited for this. And the first thing that kind of like strikes you, it is, at least back when it came out, absolutely gorgeous game. It looks fantastic, or it looked fantastic, and it was basically the crisis of its day. It was like a real system pusher. And you mentioned before about the lighting and stuff like that. It's a nice looking game. It really is. And I personally think it tells its story in an interesting way. As much as I don't really like the gameplay, I like the way it tells its story. You know, through like the audio logs and the guy talking to you over the radio, the cutscenes, stuff like that. I don't have a problem with any of that. And I also find the game very atmospheric as well. Mm-hmm. I think it is kind of like legitimately scary.
Oh yeah, if when you're playing, and especially when the first breakout happens, and you know you're getting zombies popping out of the floor, and the occasional imp warps in. And you're hearing these crazy sounds, and you're not sure what is ambient noise and what is enemy noise. It does build a very tense atmosphere.
You kind of like get some supernatural stuff happening as well. I mean, obviously the game's all about demons and stuff like that, but there's all like a lot of supernatural stuff going on. You'll hear occasionally a woman crying about they've taken her baby. And stuff like that, you know, and if you look in the mirror in the bathroom, you'll get this kind of like weird perspective change where everything will just turn kind of like demonic for a second, and that is quite an effective jump scare, I thought, early on in the game. So going into it, I did kind of like have high hopes, and I did enjoy that intro segment before you actually get like your weapons and start shooting stuff. But it wasn't long after that I started to kind of like see the problems with the game. And like I said, I bought it on launch, but I never got more than a couple hours in because I just found it frustrating, really. Mm-hmm. The gunplay is kind of like a key component of the first two games, you know, and Doom 64 as well. And in this one, weapon damage is really inconsistent. You know,
it's really bad.
It might take one shotgun blast to take down an imp. It might take 3. And the game will just kind of like decide this stuff on the fly. You have like the soldiers, which just will not die. Like, I know they're wearing armor and shit, but they use cover and they pop up. They they just do not like dying, those guys, and they can take off a big chunk of your health.
Oh, and it sucks too, because not only will they take off a big chunk of your health, but they stun you when they hit you.
Yes, they do, and you kind of
they
like...
can fire fast. Like they will just start ripping off rounds.
Yeah, because your camera will just kind of like shoot up when you get hit by them, because you do have like a couple seconds where you can't fire, and if there's more than one of them, then you're gonna have a bad time. And basically, having a Doom game mess up the gunplay is kind of like cardinal sin.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, that is like the core gameplay loop that just, you can't mess up your core gameplay loop in a game. I mean, I know there are a lot of people that like this, and that's fair enough. But for me, as I said at the start, I'm not a shooter fan. Doom is a fluke, and it just so happened that I like that particular shooter and like Doom 2, Doom 64, which all play the same way. And that is kind of like the perfect kind of like shooter gameplay for me.
Right.
And this is just a shooter that is just annoying. It is annoying to play.
It's mislabeled because
It is.
because like not only when you compare it to Doom 2 and Doom 64, but now you look at Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, which harken back to the old style. Doom 3 sticks out like a sore thumb. It's the only Doom game to have weapon reloading.
And slow weapon reloading.
Yeah, really slow.
Except, I would like to bring up something about weapon reloading really quick. So the shotgun reloads, the reload animation is slow. But I noticed that you apparently reload 2 shells at a time. And...
Yes, because if an enemy shoots you in between when you're loading, you'll stop reloading, and you'll just have your whatever you've managed to reload up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it puts 2 shells in at a time. It goes 2, 4, 6, 8, which I don't understand why they would have done that. Instead, they could have just made the reload animation not painful,
right?
Or they could have just skipped the reload animation altogether. Like I said, we now have 5 other games that just go, guns have as much ammo as you have in your pockets.
Yeah.
So yeah, the gunplay is not good at all.
It's bad. You're being nice when you say it's not good. It's really bad. I think you get critical hits by shooting people in the head, but the motion is so not good, just the actual movement of the game. I found it really hard. And of course, I'm playing on console. I'm not playing on PC. So I do not have that mouse precision. But, drawing a bead on a zombie or a soldier's head is a lot harder than it should be.
I mean, I played on PC, so I do kind of have the mouse to do that, but I am old. So I still have trouble aiming. But one thing I noticed, especially with the soldiers, if they're in cover, you can usually see their head popping up just above the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So you can aim for their head, but the game recognizes them as being in cover, so they will not take damage. Mm. You have a clear headshot. You've got your eye in sights. You can see that you're perfectly dead on, but the game says that enemy's in cover, so the shot doesn't hit.
Yep.
God, it's that I didn't notice that. I didn't get that. I thought I was just missing.
But I mean that is the main annoyance of the game, really, for me. That whole gunplay is just wonky and off. But it's not the only annoyance that I had in the game. Enemy placement and enemy spawning is fucking terrible.
Oh man! So
you can.
Oh god!
So you've got health pickups all over the place, right? Which is that is normal for a Doom game. You've got health all over the place, except in this case, almost every single time you pick up a health pickup, a wall will open behind you, and a zombie that was just hiding in the wall will come out and like take off that health that you just picked up, or an imp will just spawn in behind you, or something will come. You pick up a med kit and something will immediately take that health away again. Like quite often, that happens a hell of a lot.
And see, and like I expect that in classic Doom, like if you find a big pool of health and ammo, you know, walking into that little area, into that little section that has all that, I'm probably going to spawn some enemies on me. Or if there's like a suspicious soul orb floating there, you know, picking it up is probably going to spawn pinkies or cacodemons or something on you as punishment because it's bait. It's not helpful, it's bait.
The difference being, in the original Doom games, they will not put an enemy directly behind you, like in melee range, immediately, that you have no time to react to.
Yeah, exactly. And even in when they did drop them in really close to you, when enemies do get dropped that close, or it's a lot of enemies, you also fucking move like the wind. Like, if you're running in the classic Doom trilogy, you haul ass. You can get away from anything that's coming up on you as long as you haven't backed yourself into a corner. So there's that to even counter the even more brutal of traps from classic Doom. In this, they just go, you wanted health? Too bad. You wanted ammo? Too bad. We're going to make you burn your ammo. We're going to make you burn this health. And again, it boils down to very much kind of a System Shock feel. But unlike System Shock, I don't enjoy this at all.
Mm-hmm.
I at least can get some enjoyment out of System Shock because they knew exactly what they were doing.
Right.
Versus this was very much something new that id was trying to pull off. At least new to them.
And you mentioned as well about how, like, in the original games, you can, like, run away, you've got that fast movement speed, stuff like that. It isn't... I mean, the slow movement speed in this game certainly stops you from doing that, but another thing that stops you from doing that is the way that the environment is set up. There are so many little things that you get caught on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like tiny little boxes or grates or like stairs and stuff that you're trying to move away from stuff and you're just getting caught on everything.
Well, and a lot of it is like little hallways and catwalks that you're running through, so there's not really anywhere to go anyway.
Mm.
And even the rooms that you get, like the little combat arenas that you get, aren't particularly huge that I came across. So there's just not a lot of places to go because the whole theme of the game is different. Back to what Steven said, this is a game that got labeled Doom. This is not a Doom game. Oh, I'd like to draw another parallel, because again, since Doom 3 sold so well, one of the things that people, spoiler alert, one of the things that people whine about in Doom Eternal is there's 4 or 5 sections out of the whole game where you go sledging through this purple goo and you move very slowly. And people are like, oh, it breaks the feel of the game, and it does. It changes up, and then usually like they'll drop a couple enemies on you, and it becomes a test of how fast your trigger finger is.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like how good is your movement. It's like how fast can I pull out the right weapon and ice this Hell Knight that dropped down in front of me. Because they don't overwhelm you, but they do. It becomes basically a what's going to drop in front of me segment. So it's kind of a jump scare on like how fast can I kill it.
Right.
And that's fine, but people whined about it, and honestly, that is the entirety of Doom 3, is just slowly trudging along. Like, I was walking in Doom 3, like, in the beginning, I'm walking along, and I'm headed on, well, this was right in the beginning, I'm headed back, this is just after hell literally breaks loose. And I'm like, all right, and I'm walking along, and I'm like, I'm moving so slowly, why am I moving so slowly? And I go, oh, shit, of course, I have a run button. Why didn't I use that? And it did nothing. And it was at that point that I just about threw my controller through the TV, because it's like, I'm going to run, and you kind of just take bigger steps. You don't move faster. You just kind of take bigger steps.
Kind of like, we were talking about Supermassive earlier. Their games have a move faster button, but it doesn't do a whole lot.
It does. present the effect of moving faster.
Yeah.
I would like to bitch about the imps in Doom 3 really quick. They look fine. I actually kind of liked the design. They look a little less, hellish and a little more alien monster-y, but I think they look okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the monster designs in Doom 3 were a little weird, but they weren't bad. I'm not going to say any of them were bad. But the imps do this thing where if you don't kill them right away, they drop to the floor and then lunge.
Mm.
And then they're like, man, because you shake so badly when you get hit, you're never quite sure where they are. If you're too close, they can kind of end up behind you or at your side, and you move really slowly, so you have to figure out where they are really quick.
Yeah.
Before they start shooting fireballs or taking swings at you. And it's just I think only one time was I able to kill an imp as soon as I saw it. Because I, opened a door and he was just like, hi, I'd like to talk to you about our Lord and Savior, and I just let loose on him and he actually died in one shotgun shot.
Mm-hmm.
And every other time it was like, oh shit, there's an imp, and he lunges.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the game is dark as shit, so you can't see a lot of the enemies.
It's so dark as shit. Oh boy, who wants to talk about the flashlight?
Video game developers still don't know how to use flashlights.
So, okay, I have Doom for Xbox. I thought I had the BFG edition. It's actually a Steelbook collector's case for the Xbox, which is cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Just Steel. I mean, it's a classic game. I'm glad I have it. I tried playing it. I won't play it again, but I do own it, and I do like the Doom series, so I'm going to keep it out of spite. In the original Doom and the non-BFG edition, which is the only one you find now, really, for resale, you either have a gun out or you have your flashlight out. And this helped increase the intenseness of the game, because you're looking around with your flashlight, and then you have to drop the flashlight and start shooting at stuff in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it was... I'm going to admit that is a really good idea. The problem is the gunplay, as we said, is so bad, and the game is so dark without the flashlight, that it becomes instead of making the game tense, it just makes it insanely frustrating.
Yeah.
So I played probably 45 minutes of that, and I went, nope, I can't do this. And I came back to it later, but I hopped on the Xbox, and I went and bought the updated version for Xbox One, which is just the BFG, and it's just optimized. And it has all the stuff, and it's a good time. Except it's not. And I'm like, this will be better because my flashlight is out at the same time, and the game's going to look a little cleaner, and this will be better. Well, your flashlight burns through the batteries still, and the flashlight is still such a solid beam.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than the Fallout games. I will say that the flashlight is better than the Fallout games, because the problem with Fallout is you get just crazy bloom and shine. On the Fallout games, Fallout 3 specifically. In Fallout 3, you turn your flashlight on, and you get this big splotch in the center where you can't see anything. And then you have a big light ring, and then everything that the light touches is apparently a mirror, because it's just shiny as hell.
Mm-hmm.
The flashlight where the flashlight is pointing actually lights up. But it's tiny. It's this tiny focused beam off to your left a little bit.
Yeah.
And you burn through the batteries. You drain the batteries in about, I would say, 45 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a minute.
Oh, less than that.
Is it less than that?
It's about 10 seconds before you.
Maybe it's because the game
recharge it.
Maybe because the game just feels so slow and it's such a drag. I thought it was longer than that. But but as you're going through, your battery is draining, and then it drains and your flashlight automatically turns off. And then it recharges in 2.5 seconds. It just goes zoop right back. So it's not actual, like, power management. It's just something that makes you turn your flashlight on.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly. Your flashlight turns off, and then you go click and you turn it back on. And because it's not one of those things like I would have in actual Doom, or the original version, you're going to be switching between your flashlight and your gun constantly, so your flashlight's going to be, constantly there. It's going to be okay. But now, because you can just always have it on, you're just going click, okay, and now turn it back on so I can see again, and it drains, and turn it back on so I can see again. And it becomes even though I can have my flashlight on all the time, effectively, it's even more frustrating.
Yeah, because you've got to keep pressing your button to turn it on, like every 15 seconds or so.
Yeah. And I don't know why they wouldn't have just gone, the flashlight's on now.
Yeah.
You can turn your flashlight on or you can turn your flashlight off. Like, it would have been better if they had just gone, if your flashlight's on, for whatever reason, because you're holding the flashlight, you're not going to be as accurate with your gun, so turning it off will give you better accuracy at the cost of not being able to see. At least there would have been a mechanic there in play that would have been give and take. But now it's just a button you have to mash all throughout the duration of the game.
Right.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, they say that it helps with the atmosphere, but honestly, I played, as I mentioned before, Resident Evil 3. The remake for that, and that is a creepy atmospheric game. And when you go into a dark area, your character just automatically turns on the flashlight so that you can see around you. And then when you go into a lighter area, they turn it off again. And that doesn't kill the atmosphere at all.
Well, no, and I would like to point out what year is Doom 3 supposed to take? Like 2120 or something like that?
Oh, God knows.
And the flashlight...
2145.
Hey, I wasn't that far off. So, we're in the 22nd century?
Yeah.
And the flashlights only last upwards of 30 seconds? Like, what happened to the Energizer Bunny? Where did he go?
Yeah.
We need him. We don't need Doom Guy. We need the Energizer Bunny. Somebody make that mod, please. Because apparently battery technology went just down the shitter. Maybe it's because they're spending all of their money on Portal technology that they just channeled all funding from batteries to Portal technology. And now all of the flashlights are powered off of the leftover batteries from from TV remotes. Like every time, like at first it was like, click, hit the button to turn the flashlight. I got to the point of frustration where every time it happens, you start laughing. I don't know if you've ever been there, where you're like slowly going mad because you're doing a thing over and over and it's just breaking you. But that's where I got with it. And I think that's about the time that I just turned the game off.
Yeah.
Well, where I turned it off was there's a section, I don't know if either of you got there, where you get on this kind of like little lift platform and you can control it yourself around 3 different stations. And as you kind of like going around on this little platform, panels open up, reveal enemies, they start shooting you. Because there's a bit of knockback, they knock you off the lift platform. And it's electrified underneath. So that's good. So you'll lose most of your health doing that. And there was one point where I was just being shot as I was going towards this station, and I could not find the enemy anywhere. I was being shot by a shotgun over and over again. I could not see the enemy at all. And I died. And my last save point was about 30 minutes earlier.
Ooh.
And I was just like, no, I am not playing any more of this game.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it is just so annoying that I just can't envision that I will ever finish this game. because I have no incentive to. I just don't want to.
I'm going to, because I mentioned this to you guys a couple of days ago that I'm probably going to go through all the Doom games for my still upcoming YouTube channel.
Yeah,
because I think it's it would be an interesting journey for me to go through, and why not talk about it after I'm done? So
yeah, why not? Exactly. I don't want to just shit only on this game. Like I said, they did a lot of crazy things with the lighting and the sound. They did a lot of cool stuff. And then they just made a really bad game out of it. They ruined all the cool stuff they did.
Mm-hmm.
One of the really nice things they did that helped immersion a lot was approaching panels and using computers, where you just walk up to them and then you just point at the thing you want. You don't walk up and access the panel and then flip through your options. You just walk up to it and use it. And I had never seen it I have not played another game that has done that before. It's always walk up and press X, and now press B to leave the computer. Even later games have done stuff like that, where it's interface with the thing.
Right.
Like later Doom games are press X and use the computer. Whereas this is you walk up to it and now you're at the computer terminal.
Well, and the thing that got me, I wasn't expecting, is having to aim when you're pressing buttons on the elevator.
Yeah, because you're looking at it, and your reticle is effectively your finger or your gun or whatever it will be.
Yeah.
And it was a little weird to get used to, because I had never done anything like that quite before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great, and I would like to see other games do that more.
Just not Doom games.
Just not Doom. Even Doom games could do it. If they wanted to put have the storage lockers.
Mm.
I thought the storage lockers in Doom 3 were kind of neat, where it's they're bonus things that you can find the codes to, and you can get some extra stuff in there. It's basically their equivalent of secrets.
Yeah, and that, I was fond of that, because I'm someone that likes to delve into the audio logs and the codex entries and find the combinations and stuff. So I enjoyed that aspect of it because I'm a massive nerd.
So if Doom, whatever's going to come after Eternal, has some computer interface like that, and it's not just it's a big button, slap your big muscly Slayer hands on it and make it do the thing. Mm-hmm. If they're punch in a code, or you have options to punch in codes, or you have a couple different things to select, this elevator will go between 4 different floors versus it's up and it's down. Mm-hmm. And you can select the thing. If they did the same exact thing where it's walk up to the panel, pick what you want, beep, press the button, I would love that. But as long as it moved like Doom and gunplayed like Doom the rest of the time.
And I tell you what, if they did do something like that, it would go a long way towards making Doom 3 not feel as removed.
Right? And just little tie-ins here and there just to smooth it out. But it's not going to fix Doom 3.
You mentioning about the panels actually reminded me of something that I did want to talk about. There was one particular sequence. Did you guys get to where you have to do the crane game thing with the barrels?
No, but I've actually seen that clip on YouTube before. I don't know why.
I don't think I got to that.
So basically, you've got this panel and you're operating those crane games you find in arcades where you get a stuffed toy. Mm-hmm. There's this room that you can't enter because it's full of poisonous gas, and there are a couple barrels leaking this poisonous gas. So you go to this panel and you've got to pick them up, drop them in this thing, and you've got to press it left, right, up, down, and aim for these barrels. About halfway through doing that, some enemies will spawn behind you, and because you are on the panel, you don't have a weapon out, and they're behind you. So you're doing this, and you start getting shot to shit just out of nowhere. And it takes a few seconds to kind of turn around and react, because you don't know that it's coming. And that just really pissed me off. That actually killed me. And then like the next time, and I had to go back, like reload my save, and I did like one barrel, then turned around, waited for these enemies to come, took them out, and then went back to do the other barrel. And that's not good design.
That's bad design. That's bad design.
Yeah.
But what were they thinking when they did that?
And I don't know. It's like they just want to be as annoying as possible with these enemies. But there is actually one thing in the game that made me laugh, though. Right at the start, you know, when you get off the transport, you're with that high up guy, and he's got his bodyguard and that, and you go into a room where you kind of like get logged into the system. There is a guy at a computer. Did you notice it too?
I know I did stick around for this.
He's typing out a report on the computer, and you can actually read what he's typing. It says like, these guys came in via the transport, we've logged them in, and there's like an additional notes section that he's got on the screen. And he starts typing in there, this new Marine that we've got is incredibly rude. He's been standing over my shoulder all the while I've been typing this. Stop it. That made me laugh. I thought that was pretty cool.
I got a good chuckle out of that. If you go and score 25,000 points, speaking of things for chuckles, if you go and score 25,000 points on Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3, you get an achievement, Killing Time, but then you also get an email on your PDA. And the PDA basically, because it's like, wow, you got the high score. Congratulations. We're docking you a week's leave for wasting time. So, I mean, at least they have a sense of humor, but they just, I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on.
I mean, I think I think it very much was, let's bring Doom up to modern shooters. And they put too much modern shooter and not enough Doom in it.
I mean, maybe that is what it is, because then it's funny when you say that, because after a while, everything kind of hit the Call of Duty formula and tweaked it here and there.
Yes.
And then Doom 2016 dropped, and it brought back a very fast-paced, arcadey run-and-gun feel that we had not really seen on a AAA title.
And let's remember,
in a long time.
Let's remember what Doom 4 was before it became Doom 2016. Like, Doom 4 was gonna be more of Doom 3, more yellow-tinted, modern military shooter. Like, it was gonna be this, and then somebody made the call to switch it.
And I believe it was going to have squad mechanics as well.
Yeah. And then Doom 2016 has gotten nothing but rave reviews.
Yeah.
When they went back to the old Doom formula.
Because surprise.
Yeah, because surprise, that's what people wanted out of their Doom.
I mean, you're talking about the game that launched an entire genre of gaming. A game that people who have never played a video game have heard of. Like,
well, yeah, because I mean, before the term first-person shooter was coined,
it was a Doom clone.
It was a Doom clone. Yeah, everything was a Doom clone.
Like, Doom is one of those games up there with Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda and Metroid and all those games that basically helped shape gaming as a hobby and, as an industry. Like, it's that important.
Yeah, like Street Fighter 2, probably another example of that.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 established what the fighting genre was to be.
Right.
And Metroid, I would say Super Metroid, and then what followed up right with it, Symphony of the Night, established what the Metroidvania genre was to be like.
Yes.
Super Mario 64. Super Mario Bros. Set the bar as to what platforming should look like.
And then Mario 64 redefined it for 3D.
Yeah, absolutely redefined what 3D platformers would be like.
So, like, And that's why they kept making more Doom, because, Doom is that important of a game. It's that popular. It's that big. But like I said, with Doom 3, they tried to take, Doom and, pair it with modern military shooters. And the result was too much modern military shooter and not enough Doom. And they fixed that later on with Doom 2016.
Well, I think we all agree that Doom 3 is bad.
Yeah,
And-
like I said,
and-
I enjoy the atmosphere. The environmental storytelling is decent, but the gameplay is bad.
Just bollocks. If the nicest thing I can say about Doom 3, if I had to sum up Doom 3 nicely, it's a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
That is the nicest thing. That is the nicest way I can phrase that. It is disappointing. It has all the things that would be promising, and it's just a big disappointment.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how the rest of the game plays out, so I am going to go all the way through it. But, I don't see myself returning to this like I
Again?
would. Well, like Doom 2016, I don't mind booting that up and just running around for a while. I don't think that's going to happen with this game.
Well, no, because you can't run.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything else to roast Doom 3 on?
Cover for
Because,
the collector's edition steelbook could be more impressive.
Well, isn't the isn't it just a big Doom 3? Is there a Hell Knight behind, or is that the regular one?
That's the regular one. It's just Doom 3, not even embossed or standing out in any particular way. Like, if you look at it from far enough away, it just looks like a blank case.
Yes, I want to say the I don't have it in arm's reach, but I want to say that the Doom 3 Xbox Steelbook is a little bit more, like there's a little bit more going on in the Steelbook.
I have the Xbox standard version, not the Steelbook, and that's got like a big picture of an imp on it.
Yeah.
Which is like a pretty decent cover.
Okay, let me grab this. So let's take a close look at what this says. It has the big sleeve that says Doom 3 on it. The Steelbook has like a lot of like satanic runes and like scratches all over it. And it has a nice embossed Doom 3 on the front. Oh yeah, and then the back has the back actually looks really cool because it has like some hellish skulls and stuff, like some damned souls going on in the back. I'll post a picture of that for y'all. It's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean that's so I think the one I have doesn't have the sleeve on it, so the logo is less prominent on mine.
Well, I've just grabbed my PC BFG edition off the shelf, and it is just a black cover with the Doom 3 logo BFG edition. It's got a slipcase. It's just dull and boring. And the back cover is standard. The back cover is fine. It's just the front cover is just boring.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Well, if we're done tearing Doom 3 apart, ripping and tearing Doom 3, I think it's time for a quick interlude, and then maybe we'll move on to the next Doom.
The real Doom 3.
The real Doom 3.
Okay, I'll say it.
We're doomed.
All right, and now, as we said, time to talk about the real Doom 3. Doom 64, released on the Nintendo 64, if the clue wasn't big enough. This game kind of flew under the radar. What was it, released in like 98? I think? Or was it
1997.
Okay, so it was 97. I was close. I'm getting close with these dates today. So I, like a lot of people, used to think that Doom 64 was just a port of Doom to the 64.
Still to this day, people think that.
And I was wrong.
Yeah, it is. It's the third canon Doom game.
I mean, even like the Doom Wikipedia page, it has, release timeline, main series titles in bold, and the ones that are bolded are Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, and then the modern ones. Like it considers Doom 64 to be a spinoff.
Which is weird because it's definitely absolutely the third title.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Well, they're dumb.
It have mentioned that Final Doom isn't canon, so
Right.
Doom 64 is definitely like the third canon entry.
So, okay, brief me really quick, Matt, on what is Final Doom?
It is two episodes created by I don't know if it was fans or people that kind of hired. Let me just have a quick look. It was developed by a different team called Team TNT, and it liked it, so they kind of licensed it, and it was distributed by GT Interactive Software.
So it's essentially an official release for user-created content?
Yeah, kind of.
But it's absolutely not canon. It is spin-off.
Oh yeah. It's not canon. It's also not very good.
Oh.
It's annoying. The difficulty curve is way too high. But yeah, it is included with most versions of kind of the Doom collection now.
Yeah, I know when I originally got them on Steam, it was Ultimate Doom, Doom 2 with Master Levels, Final Doom, and then I think when I got them on GOG, it was Ultimate Doom and maybe Final Doom? I don't know, let me look.
Okay, because because you have Doom, and Doom is the first chapter of Doom, because that was the shareware.
Yeah.
And then Ultimate Doom is the entirety of Doom 1, correct?
It is the entirety of Doom 1 plus a bonus episode.
Plus a bonus episode. And then it goes Doom 2, so it goes Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, Doom 64, and Final Doom is just bonus content.
Yes.
It's basically custom master level type stuff.
Yeah, I'll just read a little bit from the Wikipedia page. Work on TNT Evolution was started by Team TNT, a group of wad-making hobbyists who were active on the Advanced Doom editing mailing list. Just days before it was to be released as a free download online, the project was acquired by id Software and finished in November 1995. Yeah, so it is essentially a fan release that it liked and put out. And there was a PlayStation port of it as well.
Oh, really? Okay, so yeah, super official licensing. Okay, that's neat. But that's just level pack. That's just a level pack. It has no place in the continuity. So it's Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, and Doom 64, aka Real Doom 3.
Well, actually, this Wikipedia does mention that while it didn't consider it a proper numbered sequel, the game does fit into Doom canon, although I have read differently. So, who knows at this point?
Well, if anything, it could be considered a bonus chapters to Doom 2 or Doom.
Yeah. Well, either way, just forget it exists. It's not very good. Just don't play it.
Well, and I suppose a big question is who decides what is Doom canon? Because, is it
even id can't seem to quite figure it out.
Yeah, because is it modern id, aka Bethesda? Is it Carmack and Romero? Who actually decides what is and is not, or was and was not canon at various times?
Well, I think to kind of settle all arguments, we should say that I decide what's Doom canon.
Okay, I'm down with this. This is okay.
And Final Doom and Doom 3 are not.
I second the motion.
Motion carries.
But anyway, Real Doom 3 is very good. But at its core, it's just Doom again.
Right.
Although, I'm sure you know this, Matt, but Doom 64 does not use a vanilla Doom engine.
It uses a modified
It
version.
uses a modified version of it, and one of the things that allows it to that it can do that other Doom can't is using the same ray casting technology. It can simulate room over room.
Yeah, what it can do, it can do a lot of advanced stuff that the original Doom engine couldn't do. Basically, room manipulation. You can have like switches completely change the layout of a room, and even like room changes triggered by killing enemies and stuff like that, which
happens a lot.
Yeah, in the original Doom, there were like 1-2 bosses where the room would change after you killed an enemy, but it was barely used. It's using this a lot. And as I said, there are switches which will completely change the layout of the room. I mean, in the first, it's not the first level. I think it might be the second or third level. There is one good example of this where you flip a switch in a room, and these pillars come from the ceiling and bash down into the floor, creating kind of like a new passage for you to go into, like in the floor.
Yeah.
Which is something you can't do in the original vanilla engine.
Yeah, the sound effect they used for that, whatever the hell that thing is supposed to be, an auger of some sort, is really loud, like disproportionately loud to everything else. Like, I was wearing my headset when that happened, and I pulled my headset off really fast because it was super duper loud. But the stuff like when it can do things like that, like there's a whole lot of not just, I think it's probably in the early 20s of the maps. There's one map that you open up and you hit a switch. You finally get around, you hit a switch and you turn around, and the wall completely opens up and a whole staircase builds in front of you. And it's super cool to watch happen because that didn't happen in original Doom. Like in classic Doom, like you would see doors open. Big whoop. On the flip side, because there's lots of room transformation, they also use this room transforming for some really, really brutal traps more than once.
Yeah, the arrow traps can fuck off.
Oh, the arrow traps. There's one where you walk into a room, and if you're not walking right down the center of the room, the walls drop off the sides, or the floor drops out from the side into a lava pit below. And I don't think there's a way out of that. I couldn't find it. I fell for it twice, and I never found a way out. I just died both times.
Yeah, there is one room in particular which is kind of like, I think it's like really, really late on. I mean, it's quite a while since I played the full game, but it's a really big room with a load of pillars in, probably about a dozen pillars, and you flip a switch, and all of these pillars come up, and there's an arrow shooting out from 4 directions from each of these pillars. You've got like 100 odd arrows just pouring out everywhere. That you can hide from it until it's over, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse if you don't know that it's coming.
Well, that room you're talking about, I think you have to hit the switch, and I believe you have to run to the other side of the room through the arrows because that's how you get one of the keys.
Yeah, and there are 2 barons in there as well, and they don't take damage from the arrows. I was annoyed by that. But...
They don't. Okay, see, I killed the barons, and then I hit the switch, and I was like, oh, cool, I probably could have hit this switch and just killed the barons that way. But if they don't, then never mind.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from like the arrow puzzles, which are annoying, it does allow this like new engine optimization does allow for some really decent environmental storytelling, and it allows for a lot more intricate puzzles as well, which later on in the game can be a bit of a bad thing because some of the puzzles they just take a long time to work out.
They do. A lot of the puzzles were a lot of that stuff is multi-step I mean, and the classic formula is Doom is you enter a level, shoot all the monsters, hit all the switches, find the exit. That's just how Doom works. And find keys, and find whatever keys you need to progress through the level.
Yeah.
But basically it's get keys, hit switches, kill monsters, leave. Pretty simple stuff. But the puzzles in some of these and trying to find some of these switches, because they're just hidden so well, because it's like, oh, go a very specific way to go to this one place, and then there's a switch on this ledge that you might overlook. Or in some cases, like, I don't recall in Classic Doom, of course I haven't played it in quite a while, shooting switches.
No, it is possible with the engine, because Sigil uses it. But no, I don't believe there were places that you could actually do it.
Yeah, I haven't played Sigil, so I wouldn't know. But in Doom 64, you have to shoot switches quite a bit, actually. One of them, like, the level opens up, and you have to quickly clear out all the monsters, and it's mostly just imps, and I think, like, a pain elemental. You clear out all the monsters really quick, and then you have to shoot a switch, and you see the blue key, and then there is a switch that you can see, and you have to shoot it. If you shoot the wrong one, it spawns a couple of monsters, and if you shoot the other one, it drops the pillar to allow you to get the key. And then you move on to the rest of the level. But, like, prior to that, if I hadn't known that, I would have been super lost and looking for a hidden switch to drop the pillar to drop the switches. But I accidentally shot a switch before, and it worked. So at, like, that point, I knew that switches could be shot. And they don't explain that to you. They might explain it to you in the manual, but I don't read those.
It took me a little while to work it out in Sigil as well.
But it's good design because it suddenly makes puzzles so much more open as far as to where you can hide switches.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's honestly kind of brilliant game design. So such a simple tweak suddenly changes everything. On the other hand, some of those puzzles are so convoluted as to what you need to do. And some of them have you racing against the clock, too. Like, you hit a switch and now you have to run. And you don't know where you have to run some of the times. Especially for secrets. They're really good at hiding secrets in Doom 64. Like, really, really good.
Yeah, I usually don't find secrets.
Yeah, I think it's the longest I spent on a level was one that you can theoretically finish even blind in probably 6-7 minutes because it's so small.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, there's got to be secrets here, and I probably scoured that map for close to half an hour. Didn't find one. And then when I finished the level, it showed you've got 0% of the secrets. It's like, well, where were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of them, you kind of like have stuff like false walls and stuff like that, like you had in the original.
Yeah.
The very first secret level you get to from level 1, and you will not find it without a guide. I guarantee you will not find it without a guide. Because have either of you actually looked up how to get to the secret level?
I have not.
No, I thought it was on map 4.
There is one on map 4, I believe. But the
Okay.
first one's on map 1. Basically, what you have to do, you've got your spawn point where you go first into the level, and you drop down. There's a barrel to your right. You've got to finish the level, destroying every single barrel in the level, including the ones in secret areas, apart from that one barrel that's near your spawn point. You then go back to the start, blow up that barrel, and quickly there is a door that opens up with a teleport pad inside. You quickly go up to that before it closes, and that will take you to the secret level.
Wow.
And that secret level is a bastard. But if you finish that secret level, it does open up the features menu in the game, which allows, I believe it allows like level select and stuff. I mean, it's a bastard hard level, and I haven't gone back to it in this playthrough. I've done it before, but it's a really small level. But like one of the rooms you go into is like a really small room. you've got, I think, either 3 or 4 arachnotrons in it and a rocket launcher.
Ugh.
And you're going to take damage from the arachnotrons. You're going to take damage from the rocket launcher. So you kind of, the way you need to do it is make sure that you get the supercharge in level 1 before you go into the secret level, just so you don't die from kind of like rocket damage in the secret level.
Jesus. So like you'd be so like go get the supercharge, but save it for the end of the level. So you go in super maxed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really, really skilled, you can take them down with like super shotgun. It will take a lot longer, and you are getting attacked by 4 arachnotrons while you're doing it, so you kind of have to do it fast.
That's gross.
But yeah, that is another example of kind of like the optimization of the engine, allowing for stuff to open through object manipulation by just shooting all but one barrel, and yeah,
and it's pretty brilliant. I feel they did a fantastic job. I actually, Doom 64, by the time I was done, has actually gone to the top of, like, right near the top of the list of my favorite Doom games.
I prefer it to Doom 2.
Like, it's super duper good. It's super clean, and I've heard people complain in the past about some of the character, like the enemy designs. I rather like them.
Yeah, I think it suffers a little bit from the N64's graphics engine. They look a little bit muddy, but they're okay enough.
So and here's what's neat about it. And it's funny that you say they look a little muddy because it's the N64 graphics engine, but at the same time they took the steps to make super high resolution sprites for when they got close to you. So you actually, I believe the game actually has 2 different sets of sprites for when it gets to a certain range, it'll switch to the other set, to the higher resolution sprite. So as it gets close into your face because you didn't kill him fast enough, and now you have a pinky claw crawling all over you, it doesn't look super pixely.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not like this was some sort of magic move they did. It's like, wow, what brilliant. But it was smart, because the one thing when you're playing Doom is there's one sprite for the creatures, and when you get really close to them, they look a little rough. It's a product of its time. I don't hate it. I'm not bitching. But the move to have a super high resolution sprite for the closer shots is definitely super smart.
Right.
And it just helps.
It's something that still happens in games today, mainly for environmental details.
Mm-hmm.
But you will have stuff in the background not rendered fully, just kind of like the suggestion of the background, and as you get closer, more and more details get filled in.
As far as the redesign, if people have whined about the redesign of some of the creatures, I think I just said, I like them. The pain elementals look creepy as hell.
Yeah, they're still just as much of a bastard as they were in Doom 2 as well.
Yeah, and in Doom Eternal too, they're really frustrating in Doom Eternal. Not as much, but they still are.
I suppose I have a bit of a disadvantage because, despite having played Doom 2016, I still can't identify most of these enemies on sight.
Well, you won't even. Doom 2016 didn't even have pain elementals.
Yeah, so
which, bless that game for not, because the pain elementals are wretched. They spawn lost souls, and then when you kill them, they turn into lost souls.
Did Doom 2016 not have them?
They did not. They had cacodemons, but they did not have pain elementals.
Oh, it's been 4 years since I played it, so it's a bit hazy. But...
It shouldn't be. It should only be 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't replay it last year for the podcast.
Oh, I replayed it this year just because it's a good game.
Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna play it later on.
I played so much Doom this last month.
Yeah, just this week I've been playing a lot of Doom, both for this and just playing. I figured since we would probably end up talking about the series as a whole, I went back and played Doom and Doom 2 a little bit on Switch. So
Smart.
it's been fun.
So yeah, like I played Doom 2016, and then Doom Eternal came out, and I've played Doom Eternal through twice. Then I played Doom 64, and then I went back and played more Doom 20, or I played more Doom Eternal, and then I played Doom 3 as much as I could, and then honestly, I'm probably going to go back and play more Doom 64 a little bit later after this.
I mean, I'm
because I'm
literally
on a
playing it as we speak.
Hey, there you go. There was another. What other character got slightly redesigned? I wanted to bring up.
The Cacodemon looks completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks. I just encountered one. It looks weird.
I don't know why, but when I see the Cacodemon, for some reason it looks like a cat to me.
A little bit.
Maybe it's the eye and the horns, but this was when this was the first time the Cacodemon got redesigned, and they gave it arms, which was kind of weird.
Yeah,
because pain elementals had arms in Doom 2. They had these tiny little goofy stubby arms, and obviously they'd shoot lost souls at you because they're assholes. But then it's almost like when they started designing for Doom 64, they took the Cacodemon design and expounded on that, or I mean the pain elemental design expounded on that for the Cacodemon. And then they were like, "Oh, cool. So, like, they're like, oh, so what's our pain elemental going to look like?" And they went, "Oh no, we didn't realize that we were doing a pain elemental." So they had to go from scratch for that, and they made this two-mouthed abomination that births lost soul at an alarming rate. But overall, I really like Doom 64's Cacodemon, even though it's a touch goofy looking. And also, they look really surprised when you shoot them. Their stun animation, like they're just like, "Ow, no! What are you doing?"
I will always kind of like be a proponent for the bright red ones in the original. I love the design of them.
So it's always funny. I always thought the original Cacodemon was designed after the Beholder from D&D.
And an easy, assumption to make.
But it's not. Like, and it makes sense. It's a one-eyed floating monster with a big mouth and an eye. It's the Beholder. And it doesn't have the eyeballs coming off the top of its head. But it's actually a art of an astral dreadnought. They took the head of it was specifically a piece of art from like a cover of a magazine that was talking about D&D at the time when they were designing that original Cacodemon, and literally they took a picture of the head of it, trimmed away the body, cut the face in half, and then mirrored it so all the horns and stuff were equal, and that became a Cacodemon. Like, how it's not like copyright infringement or just theft of art, I don't know.
They copied a lot of stuff for Doom. There is a lot of artwork in Doom that was taken from like other sources that maybe they shouldn't have taken it from. But they changed it up enough that they didn't really have any issues with it.
Like, if it tried to do that now, the lawsuits would just be pouring in.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Especially if they did anything with D&D, because Wizards of the Coast are notoriously litigious.
oh, they're really bad. They're super, super bad. But simpler times. I don't know. How far did you get? You said you didn't get too far into Doom 64, Steven, and you said you're playing it now?
Yeah, so I'm currently on level 4. I don't recall how far I got before, but I don't think I got to this point. You know what it was? I got stuck on level 3 with the where you go back for the red key because I didn't know you had to go back for it.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where you have the yellow key, you go through the door, and then you have to go back through the door to get the red key, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, these Doom 64, for better or for worse, has a lot of backtracking through levels. And the levels usually aren't too sprawling. They're pretty self-contained, so it's not too bad, but you run all over these levels, which, again, is another thing that they get away with on a lot of these because they're constantly transforming rooms and stuff. So you're running around in areas, but the level is often transforming around you. So it's the constant change up means they can take a small arena and do a lot with it.
Yeah.
And that is, again, just really good use of the engine and makes for good, straightforward game design. Like, they don't have to do anything super convoluted to still make a level good.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about secrets, then that's as convoluted as they could dream up.
Some of the later hell levels do go into kind of like convoluted territory.
They do. They get really confusing for no good reason. I want to say there was one level that I could not figure out where the hell I was supposed to go, and I actually looked up like a quick guide for it because I just couldn't find my exit. There was another hell level that I picked up the red key and didn't realize I had picked up the red key, and I ran around for like 20 minutes and couldn't find it, and I figured that I had fucked up somehow, and I reset the level, and then got right back to the point, and I realized that I had just ran over the red key and didn't even look and notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and all I had to do was leave and go back to the exit. So that made me mad. The game is not horribly punishing.
No, not particularly.
Until you get to the end. And Matt, you've beaten it, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, that last level, you know, if you've got the fully powered up, I forget what it's called.
It's up until recently, it was not the Unmaker. It was when you pick the gun up, he just goes, "What the various punctuations is this thing?"
Right.
And as of Doom Eternal, they brought the gun back in, and it's called the Unmaker. And it was unofficially called the Unmaker before.
It's essentially an industrial laser pointer.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first. It's not... it's really bad at first. But I think in the N64 manual, it clarifies that this unknown gun, is super strong against non-human demons.
Which
means
they all be?
No, because humanoid demons, like your Baron Hell is going to be a humanoid demon, your Macubus is going to be a humanoid demon. The Unmaker is going to do extra damage against Arachnotrons, Cacodemons, Pain Elementals, and most importantly, the Mother Demon.
Gotcha.
But it's still really weak until you find the 3 secret levels and get the demon keys. Mm-hmm. Those secret levels help you out in the final fight twofold. When you first run into the level, the spoiler alert, how the last fight kind of goes down. There's a big cage in the middle of this giant arena, and then there's these 3 like little boxes, and I believe in the boxes are portals that open up after a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come and demons just come pouring out, there's so many demons that come out. It's just this insane battle right out of the gate. But if you go and find all the secret levels, you get 3 demon keys, which power up the Unmaker. It's like the first one gives you a second laser. The second one like doubles the power of the gun, and then like per laser it doubles it, and then the third key like does another 50% more damage, and it gives you a third laser to shoot out of the gun.
Mm.
So you get like this weird laser shotgun effect, and it just shreds non-humanoid demons. But the demon keys are also in your inventory, and you can run up to these 4 gates, or these 3 gates, and you can slap the demon keys on them, and they lock the portals. So normally you have to fight like, I don't know, probably 25 demons that come dumping out of this thing. Or you can lock them up, and as soon as all the demons are no longer present, the Mother Demon comes out, and you have to fight the boss. If you lock the portals, all the demons are gone, so you jump straight to the boss, and she's super weak to the Unmaker. And you can literally kill her in seconds. However, in my case, I didn't have the demon keys. I just know how it works.
Whoops.
And there's like 8 pain elementals that come out of those gates. And they're spitting out lost souls constantly. I rocketed myself because lost souls come flying up in front of me so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had to redo that fight like 5 times. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it is easily the hardest fight. And it should be, it's the boss level, but it's not like twice as hard. It's like 5 times harder than any other fight you get into. And they load you up. Like, if you die, they give you everything you need. They give you an invulnerability to start off the fight. They give you a supercharge. They give you all the guns and ammo. There's a backpack in the room right before the fight. It doesn't matter. The fight is just hard. You are basically running backwards the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it.
We hates it, Precious.
With its nasty fish and chips.
But if you do go through the game like using like a guide that tells you how to get to those secret levels, then you will have like a much easier time on that fight. You can kill the Unmaker in like 10 seconds with the you can kill the Mother Demon with the Unmaker in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, like I watched the video play of her just going down. Yeah, she just melts, which is kind of fun, which is weird because that means Doom 64 is kind of like in the weird it hits this weird spot. Like Doom, and kind of honestly id in general, is notorious for making final bosses underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Like the final boss is always just like meh. Doom Eternal, the final boss is pretty underwhelming. Doom 64 or Doom 64, if you found the Unmaker, it's underwhelming. The Icon of Sin in Doom, completely... Or no, the Cyber Demon. Well, no, wait a minute.
Cyber Demon in Doom 1, Icon of Sin in Doom 2.
Yeah, that's right. Well, both of them, relatively underwhelming, because as long as you're just circle strafing around the Cyber Demon, it can't really do anything. It doesn't turn fast. They literally say he's slow to turn.
And Doom 2016 was just annoying, the end boss fight.
But it wasn't hard as long as you figured out the pattern. It was mostly just, now I jump, now I don't. I mean, that's annoyingly simple. Because it's like, if you miss one of your jumps, then you end up locking yourself out, because you're stuck in your pattern. You end up locking yourself into getting hit 5-6 times in a row. But, like, mid-bosses are harder in id games. The Panzerhund in Wolfenstein, the New Order, is midway through the game, and it's a really, really hard boss. Or wait a minute, is that the New Order, or is that the Old Blood? I don't remember which one it is. All I know is that there's a mid-boss, and it's just frustratingly difficult because you come into the area and you don't have a lot of ammo, and there's not a lot of ammo around, and you basically need to follow a very specific path and get a very specific gun that is sitting there to lay waste to it, and then you have to run away and, like, spam it with something else, and it's a really brutal fight, because he'll kill you in a second.
Is that the one that's in London?
No, this is the one that's outside the castle. So this had to have been this has to be New Order. But then the final boss, yeah, because it might be Old Blood, because in the final boss you can beat in your sleep. You're just fighting this giant zombie thing, and you just kind of run around, and you just kind of run from the top floor to the bottom floor to the top floor, and just kind of shoot stuff that drops in, and then take pot shots. And it's super non-threatening, and there's not even, like, a proper pattern. You just sort of, like, he just takes swings at you, and you can very easily avoid it.
Right.
And it's frustratingly simple. And then with the Doom 2016's Mastermind, if you get knocked out of your cycle, you can die. But as long as you're just... as long as you stay on top of your pretty forgiving windows for not taking damage, she just melts, and her whole face is her weak spot. So it's not like it's not like, oh, you have to wait for the openings. The Icon of Sin, is you just shoot it in its brain with missiles. You just go ham with the rocket launcher. The cyber demon just circle strafe it. It really can't do anything to you. Unless you're like right on top of it where you don't have time to run away from its missiles. And then the mother demon. Again, if you get the Unmaker, the game beats itself.
Mm.
And I would be just terrified. I don't even want to think about playing on Nightmare Mode or what it's called, Watch Me Die. In Doom 64, that final fight would be such a bastard without the Unmaker.
Yeah.
Like, the way I ended up beating it was I jumped in there with the rocket launcher, I grabbed everything I needed, saved, and then I grabbed the invulnerability and ran out right up to where the little gates are where they start pumping out, and I just pulled out the rocket launcher and was firing point blank into the crowd for as long as I could because I couldn't take splash damage. And that's the only way I beat it. And I was playing on normal.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm just bad at games, but like there was not that the difficulty for that fight is not scaled appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tendency to get my butt kicked in, just regular levels of Doom. So
yeah. Overall, though, still one of my favorite Doom games. Like it still falls behind Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, but it's number 3 easy.
Yeah, it is quite good.
Yeah, it's my second favorite after the original.
They also, I don't know if you've been reading any of the text, because who cares about the text wall, but when you get out of the UAC, you jump through your little hell portal, and you get a little wall of text, because that's the end of your first chapter. And it's like level 8 going into level 9. And it says something along the lines of, it's just like, you step through the portal, it seemed like it was way too easy, and the demons are here, they're waiting for you. Effectively, they set up a trap for you, and you let out a bloodthirsty scream, and then the next level that boots up is just a battle arena. That's all it is. You go in there are demons, you shoot them all, and the exit opens. And it just really... it's like one of my favorites parts in any Doom game now, because it's like, oh, they set a trap for you, and then all I can think of is Watchmen when Rorschach says, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why in like Doom 2016 there are like literal legends in hell written about him.
The demons are just terrified of this man. But yeah, I could just repeatedly say that it's a great game, because it is, but I'm not going to. But it's like, what if you pre-order Doom Eternal, you got it, and if you haven't played it yet, sit down and play it. I wholly recommend it. But also, is it a $5 on most storefronts right now?
Believe so. I know Doom 3 was like $10.
Yeah.
And I think Doom 2, and Doom 64 are all $5.
On Steam, it is £3.99.
So that sounds about $5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident it's $5 on the storefront. It is worth every last $5.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's
you're just sitting here playing Doom out of order.
Yeah, well,
story matters.
So I bought the PC version, uninstalled the fan-made mod that I had. The only difference really is that you don't have looking on the y-axis. You can't look up or down in this, which you could in the fan-made mod, but you don't miss it at all because it wasn't designed with it in mind. No. And this runs at a much higher frame rate as well than the fan-made mod. It runs brilliantly on PC.
I want to bring up, I think Adam talked about the fan-made mod quite a while back, and saying that it was much better than the original N64 version, because the N64 version, while it ran pretty smoothly, is dark as hell. And actually, I kind of found a weird parallel in that Doom 3 almost feels like the Doom they wanted to make. Because when you play Doom 64 and you see it, especially if you see original gameplay, it's really, really dark. And there's a lot of ambient noise in the game that is sometimes hard to tell if it is monsters walking around or if it's just the soundtrack, which I just realized I didn't bring up. The soundtrack to Doom 64 is not music.
Well, it is. It's ambient music. I mean, it's. I would still call it music, personally.
But it's mostly sound effects. Like there is a little bit going on in some of the levels on a couple of the tracks, and like the title, like the menu has a little bit of music going on, and like when you finish a level, it has like a little bit of kind of a military, thing going on. I don't even know what you'd call that. Just kind of that military music. But most of the soundtrack is primarily ambient noise. Like it's like there's banging and like some like droning noise. I'm pretty sure that they were supposed to be like, it was supposed to be like when you're in hell, there's supposed to be like demons screaming, but it sounds like someone just down pitched their cat's meowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually think that's what it is. But it lends to this really creepy atmosphere without taking away the doom. And we just were talking about how Doom 3 has a really creepy atmosphere with no doom. But Doom 64 nails it. It actually gets both of those things. And in the N64 version, because it's so dark all the time, you also get that really I can't see a whole lot going on, especially since like half of the common enemies are nightmare versions where you can't see them. They're semi-translucent and also dark. Like nightmare imps are translucent purple or translucent blue. Their fireballs are purple. So you can't see them in those dark levels. And there's a trap somewhere in there that if you fall down, there's a tiny little staircase on the side. When you fall down there, it immediately gives you a berserk, but then also spawns like 15 specters. Because fuck you.
Yeah.
But that moment of falling in that trap is a really, really intense trap, and it's a really like unnerving moment because you can't see what's hitting you. All you can do is start punching. But instead, Doom 3 tried to pull traps like that. Like you said, you were talking about a crane game where they just spawn zombies behind you. They just spawn soldiers behind you, and they just start shooting.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Because you're not expecting it. When the trap falls out, or when you miss your step and you fall in there, and you suddenly hear noise, and your screen says Berserk because it gave you a Berserk power-up for falling in the trap, you are immediately prepared for what's happening to you.
Right.
So while it's a really mean trap, it's still a well-designed trap.
Yeah.
And that's why Doom 3 sucks. It did everything just wrong enough to be bad.
Right.
Whereas Doom 64 follows a lot of the same themes, but it does them just well enough to be good.
I think you might be onto something with Doom 3 being what they wanted to make when they made Doom 64. Which, I mean, we ended up with both, but yeah, it does kind of make sense.
Like, having played those games like right next to each other, it really felt like they were trying to recreate something from Doom 64, and they just didn't. They didn't know how to. It was their first shot at making a 3D Doom game. Like a proper 3D modern Doom game.
Right.
But that's just my opinion. That's just a theory. A game theory.
While we are kind of like talking about the music, I know we went on a little bit of a tangent with that, but we didn't mention something in the Doom 3 segment which we should probably bring up. They originally hired Trent Reznor to do the music for Doom 3.
Oh, right.
Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, who did the soundtrack for Quake. And there were so many delays and development issues with Doom 3 that Trent Reznor ended up pulling out. Which is why Doom 3 doesn't really have much of a soundtrack. There is sparse music in it, but not a hell of a lot. And I really would have liked to have seen how it would have been with Trent Reznor's soundtrack. He was meant to be doing all the sound effects as well.
It probably would have been really, really good because you said he did Quake, and the soundtrack for Quake, well, the game doesn't hold up too particularly well. It's not bad, but it's not great if you ever go back and play it. It does, like, the music is amazing, or the soundtrack is just outstanding.
Unfortunately, with digital versions of Quake, because the game actually played the music from the CD in your CD drive, a lot of the digital versions don't have the soundtrack, so there's like no music in Quake. Luckily, I do actually have the CD, so if I want to play Quake, I'll just pop in the CD drive. But Trent Reznor did music for Quake. That is why all the nail gun ammo has the Nine Inch Nails logo on it.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. I actually never tied that together.
I'm surprised they left that in there.
That's really funny. Well, was it Doom or Doom 2 that just has the big-ass Nine Inch Nail logo that you can find? Like on the ceiling?
I never found that personally.
How do you see something on the ceiling in Doom?
Well, you can still see the ceiling. You just can't look up at it, but it's a big red Nine Inch Nails logo. And it was either Doom or Doom 2. So apparently, Carmack and Romero have just really liked Nine Inch Nails for a long time. Which I'm not going to judge them. Trent Reznor is, I'm not going to say he's a musical genius, but he is super talented.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Nine Inch Nails is like one of my favorite bands, so.
Like, I'm not even into industrial that much, but, like, I do like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, I've seen them live. I've got everything they've released. I'm a big fan.
Just imagine if Doom 3 probably would have been better off. Instead, we got a lot of just ambient noise and bad gameplay.
Yeah.
And more bad gameplay. The takeaway from this being that Doom 3 was bad, and Doom 3 was also really good. The real Doom 3.
Right.
And because it's not canon, I've decided you can just not play like Doom 3. Sigil isn't canon either. Chuck it in the bin.
Is it really that bad?
It is super hard. There is, like the first level, there is like a long, thin walkway that you walk across, and there are lost souls coming at you from both sides. You can probably imagine, without even playing it, how pissing annoying that is.
Well, like, I've heard that Sigil is essentially Romero being an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, there is a death trap that they actually patched out, where there is another thin platform, and you can just be kind of like knocked off the edge of it, and it's just like a lava pit that you can't get out of. Which in a later patch they did actually introduce a button that you can get back up. But this is all in the first level.
Wow!
It is super hard, and the soundtrack's good by Buckethead from Guns N' Roses, but nah. I did 2 levels and I was like, nah, I'm done. I paid for the fucking thing as well, £6.66.
It's just not terribly expensive, like $10.
Yeah, I mean, it was released for free, but if you wanted the version with the Buckethead soundtrack, then you had to pay.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny that Buckethead did part of the soundtrack. I haven't heard about Buckethead in probably 10 years.
I mean, the only thing I remember Buckethead for was the version of Go-Go Power Rangers from the movie.
Wait, he did that?
Yeah, the movie version of Go-Go Power Rangers was done by Buckethead.
I didn't know that. Well, of course you would know that.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up then, because I didn't realize that he did that. Neat. Learning is power. Well, if we got nothing more to say about that, I mean, yeah, don't play Doom 3, play Doom 64.
Yeah.
Go buy Doom 64 if you haven't. And throw away your copy of Doom 3.
And while you're at it, play Doom 2016.
Yeah.
Again.
again. And if you have the money to spare and are looking for a game to play, buy Doom Eternal. Because not only Doom Eternal also allows you to play Doom 1 and 2 in it.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there a thing where if you have these versions of the original games, you can like unlock stuff in Doom Eternal? Like all the ones I bought on Switch, I boot them up and they're like, thank you for connecting to Bethesda.net. Your exclusive items are unlocked.
Oh yeah, there are all sorts of things in Doom Eternal, like customizations for your Doomslayer for the battle mode, which I still have not played.
Oh, okay.
And it's like custom skins and animations and stuff like that. And if you've purchased one, like if you pre-ordered Doom Eternal, you got a special thing. If you have a Amazon Prime account and therefore have Twitch Prime, you got the Doomicorn skin.
Oh, okay.
Which is just hilariously wonderful, and it hurts to look at, but it's so funny at the same time because you're like in this pink. Your armor has like a horse head on it, and it has like pink Pegasus wings, and your little Doom demon blade is like a magic wand, like a sparkle wand. And there's just something wonderful about running around as an angry horse murdering stuff. So that's probably that sort of stuff that you're unlocking.
But stuff I'm never gonna see.
I mean, you see it in the cutscenes.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be playing multiplayer. So
yeah, but you'll see it in the cutscenes and stuff. Like, that's the thing is, it does work for the single player as well.
Okay.
So if you have Twitch Prime and you want to be a unicorn as you play through the campaign, it lets you, and I think that was smart.
Do I have Twitch Prime? I have Amazon Prime, but I don't know
if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Twitch Prime.
Huh, okay.
You get all sorts of goodies to unlock. They have all sorts of like game unlocks all throughout each month. Well, I guess we'll have a quick interlude, and then we'll come back and do a quick tie-up, even though I think we just tied up a little bit, and that'll be that.
Oh my god, we're doomed!
All right, and before we go, since we already closed that all up really good, I have made the executive decision right here on the fly. I'm actually going to be putting up a giveaway for Doom 64 because I think y'all should play it really well. It will be a digital copy on the platform of your choosing, but the giveaway will be posted up on our Facebook and on our Twitter as usual. And yeah, put in for that, and when we pick a winner, you will get to pick your platform. I don't think there's anything more to say about that. It's giveaway for Doom 64 digital.
Yeah, but it's a good game. Play it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I want to thank you for joining us once again on our Retro Odyssey, and we will see you again next time. So for today, so long.
Goodbye.
That's the sound that watches make now because they're technology.